I've played Garry's Mod for ages, long enough to recognize when something is just a glitch and when something's wrong on a level the game isn't capable of. It started with a map that I subscribed to under the latest uploads tab called GM Remember. It had no thumbnail, no author, no description, and registered as zero point 0.0 megabytes. That piqued my curiosity, because why would it be zero point 0.0 megabytes? Then it just wouldn't exist at that point. So I downloaded it, and the first time I loaded it, I appeared on an endless flat grass under a washed out gray sky. The only sound was a faint looping hiss. After driving a while, I found a lone wooden door standing upright in the middle of the fog. When I pressed E, the console typed "Don't" on its own. I opened the door anyway. It loaded me into a crooked Half-Life 2 style room with melting textures, no windows, no props, and footsteps walking on a floor that didn't exist above me. The console typed more messages I hadn't written. "You shouldn't be here. You keep coming back. Why?" The door locked itself. The map then shifted to a hallway stretched like taffy, where a floating Spectre camera peeked around the corner and typed into the chat, "Stop following me." After the world glitched into static and snapped back to the room, a misshapen ragdoll appeared on the floor, limbs arranged like someone tried to pose it but didn't know a human anatomy. My health dropped to 1. The door opened by itself, and standing at the door was a little kid staring at me, and right before my PC blue screened, he yelled, "Murderer." So after that surreal experience, I uninstalled Gmod, deleted the map, scrubbed my workshop folders, verified files, everything, yet every time I reinstalled Gmod, GM Remember returned as well. Its thumbnail changed every time, however, from blank to a shot of the room to a black image with a tall figure standing at the frame's edge. Its new description read, "You already loaded it. I only remember those who remember me." So I didn't open it again. I tried to forget about it. Then a few nights later, Steam notified me of an update for the game. And when I launched it, the menu had no music and only one selectable map. Can you guess what it is? Yup, GN Remember. The game locked my mouse to it, and before I could exit, it loaded. I spawned in a dim, apartment-style room. A single chair sat in the corner. Next to it stood the figure from the thumbnail, a tall civilian model, but corrupted. Its face a smeared blur. The chat box opened by itself and typed, "Sit." My character sat without my input. A floating camera model eased toward me and took the picture. The map abruptly displayed the photo, but it wasn't the in-game room. It was my real bedroom, taken from the exact angle a webcam would use, except I don't own a webcam. Then the chat typed, "Nice room." Then, "I know where you are now." And then right after it typed that, my PC blue screened again. So after that nightmarish experience, I deleted Gmod for good this time, and probably permanently. So I go to bed, and I barely slept a lick of sleep that night. So the next morning, I went out to my mailbox. Then I found this letter that was for me, and it didn't say who it was from. So I just opened it right there while also holding my coffee in the other hand. And as soon as I finished reading it, I dropped my mug on the floor and it shattered into pieces. Because the letter had a picture of the boy I saw at the door the first time my PC blue screened. And I recognized the boy. It makes more sense now. The boy was an 11-year-old named Jacob Winters. Me and him had crossed paths about a year ago, and I was having a horrible time in my life. I was going through a financial crisis and a bunch of debt, and I had a really awful job at the time that barely paid me enough for my rent, and a girlfriend that just recently broke up with me. So that night, I decided to drink and drive, and I did something that I will regret for the rest of my life. While I was going 90 miles an hour down a dirt road in my pickup truck, Jacob Winters was playing soccer by himself, testing out his soccer moves or whatever, in the middle of the street. And with me being more drunk than a sailor and him not being able to pay attention and see me really from how dark it was out, I hit him so hard with my truck that he nearly just splattered into pieces and there was blood all over the hood of my truck. So I ran out of the truck screaming, wondering what to do, and looking around and seeing if there were any witnesses. And luckily for me, there weren't. So I took the next hour or two cleaning up the mess and burying the body. Then no sooner after I buried the body, I got out of there and went home knowing what I have just done. And not a single soul knew about this. Not even my best friends, no family members, no one. Then fast forward to today and me seeing that picture and realizing what this was all about. I read the message right under it, and all it said was, "Justice will be served," with another picture, but this time it was my face, and red X's crossed around my eyes. Then not a second after reading that, I ran straight back to my house, then locked all the doors, all the windows, all the rooms, everything. And despite never even using it before this moment, I grabbed the AR-15 that I bought for this type of occasion and just sat in my room the entire day from 8 a.m. to about 3 a.m. at night, wondering when is he gonna come and when can I shoot this bastard. So fast forward to 3 a.m. I wake up to my PC turning on and all it reading on the screen was a Google document and it just saying the same thing that was on the letter: "Justice will be served." Then immediately after reading that, I heard the doorknob downstairs at the front door turn, even though I clearly remember locking that door. So then I cocked my gun and stood strong in my room, waiting for that fucker to show up right at the door and blow his brains out. Then I hear his footsteps going upstairs, closer and closer towards me. Then I finally hear that doorknob start to turn. Then the slowest 2 seconds of my life happened when he was opening that door. Then I realized he was way less intimidating than I thought he'd be. He was maybe average height, probably like 5'9", 150 pounds, and he was wearing a hoodie, so I couldn't really see his face that well, and all he had on him was a knife. He didn't even have a gun. So then, at that moment, I said the cockiest and probably corniest thing I could have said at that moment. "You really brought a knife to a gunfight?" Then I finally heard the freak that's been ruining my life for the past few weeks speak for the first time, and he said,
"A knife is more dangerous than a gun without bullets."
As he said that, I was more confused than ever, so I pulled the trigger and realized he was right. He somehow took my ammo. I guess I fell asleep. Then, as I realized he took my ammo, I asked him why didn't he bring a gun, so then it'd be easier. Then he said to me,
"At least you'll suffer half as much as what my brother went through."
Then he immediately lunged at me with his knife, and despite being able to dodge most of his attacks, he still got me a couple of times. Eventually, he was able to pin me to the ground with his knife at my throat. Thinking this was probably gonna be the last few seconds of my life, I just accepted my fate. Then all of a sudden, more confused than ever, I open my eyes, then I sit up and realized what just happened. My roommate killed that bastard. Then I walked towards him, grabbed his pistol from him, and then shot the corpse some more. Then my roommate yelled at me and asked me what the fuck I was doing. Then I told him that I would explain later and that we needed to bury the body ASAP. He obliged. Then, about an hour or so later, we were finished burying the body, and I went ahead and explained to him the entire story from beginning to end. So, since then, the past couple of days, I've been feeling guilty, despite clearly being in the right in the situation, and I just can't handle with the guilt of killing people, even if they're innocent or not. So I'm considering either turning myself into the police or at the very least get some serious help. And honestly, the main reason that I made this post was so then I can warn people about the map GM Remember. So if you ever come across this map, especially if it's in the latest uploads tab, please avoid it.